What's up, guys? Ron Harris here for Ron Harris Muscle. And I want to talk about the Joey Swoll situation, even though it's already a few days old at this point, but I do have strong opinions on it. I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. So how did it all start? When Hulk Hogan passed away, Joey posted this showing him working out dressed up as Hulk Hogan. And Gold's Venice. And, you know, it's funny. Joey, although he's probably a foot shorter than Hulk Hogan, certainly had a better physique than Hulk Hogan ever did. Hulk was never lean. I always wanted Hulk Hogan to get lean. He never did. But Joey there was showing, you know, he was paying tribute. He was a fan of Hulk Hogan. I was a fan of Hulk Hogan. So the post said, happy Halloween, Hulkamaniac. Say your prayers, take your vitamins, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people got upset about that because Hulk Hogan was a racist. I guess he was a born-again Christian toward the end of his life and, you know, regretted all that stuff. But he did say a lot of racist things. He was caught on tape on several occasions using the N-word freely. So Joey, let's go take a look at his Instagram. This is the apology that he made a couple days ago. I think it was only 3 days ago. It was big news. So here we go. Joey, here we go.
I owe my followers, my community, and all of social media an apology. A few days ago, I reposted an old video of me in the gym wearing a Hulk Hogan Halloween costume on the day that he passed. Last night in my live stream, a lot of people expressed how upset and frustrated they were with me that I had posted that. Instead of listening and understanding like I should have, I became defensive and said that I was posting to celebrate the wrestling icon, the person that so many of us looked up to as kids that we grew up with, that made us tear our shirts and take our vitamins and say our prayers. I didn't know to the extent of all the horrible things that he had done. Since last night, I have done a lot of research, talked to a few people, and learned all of the horrible things that that man has done, which is way more than just making a mistake and being human. So because of that, I have taken the videos down and I apologize to anybody that I offended. I am sorry. Also, during last night's live stream, I used the word colored instead of saying person of color, which is a very outdated, very offensive term. A few moments later, somebody educated me and told me that it wasn't okay to use that, which I immediately apologized to everyone and said I would never do that again. So once again, to anybody that I offended, I am sorry. You know, my whole page, my whole brand is based on holding people accountable and doing better. I would be a hypocrite if I didn't hold myself to the same standards. I am human. I am still growing. I am still learning. And I promise all of you, I will do better. I have nothing but love and kindness in my heart. I will continue to try to make the world a better place. And once again, to everybody, I apologize.
Okay.
I owe my followers, my community, and all of social.
That was 4 days ago. He said he was going to take a break from social media, and this was posted today. So his break did not last very long, but I mean, look at this. 5.4 million followers. Wow. I don't know. TikTok, he has more than that. I don't know. But I knew he couldn't stay off social media. That's his whole business, right? Let's actually see what's in his links. So he's got tasteflavor.com. He's a coach. He owns Taste Flavor, which is what, like sauces and stuff? Yeah, I've heard the sauces are delicious. But anyway, not important. So here's the thing. Let me look at your comments first before I dive into this. Swoll is giving Hulk Hogan a tribute. Does he need to do better? It's to mind his own business. That is a catchphrase. Try to Google all the horrible stuff Hulk did, but it was censored. Swoll's a sellout. I mean, you could say that about a lot of people. He says he's still growing and speaking about his physique, is he? Well, I mean, how much bigger is he supposed to get? Hogan didn't do anything. Well, here's the thing. The irony that Joey D doubled down knowing about Hulk. My gripe is that he faced the same issue and someone apologized facing back. Just sorry they got caught. This is the discussion I want to have is why can't you be a fan of somebody's work without being supportive of the person? So Hulk Hogan, for instance, that was a character. Terry Bollea was a man. Hulk Hogan was a wrestling persona, this larger-than-life, ridiculous, over-the-top character. As a kid, I remember watching all those promos. I used to watch him when he was a bad guy in the late 70s. on like regional wrestling before he blew up on Vince McMahon's WWF. Became like the, WrestleMania star and all that. But I remember it had action figures and lunch boxes and T-shirts, all kind of merch. But this was a character he was playing. I mean, if you saw Rocky III, Thunderlips was really just an exaggerated version of the Hulk Hogan character. It was a little more ridiculous, a little more over the top, but that was still a character. It's real to me, Tim. So here's what I want to say. I mean, I'm a fan of certain people, movie directors, musicians, comedians. I know they're awful people. I don't let that bother me in the fact that I still admire their work. For instance, Roman Polanski's a movie director. He's a great movie director. He won Best Director for the movie The Pianist in 2002. He was nominated for Best Director for both Rosemary's Baby, 3 different movies, Rosemary's Baby, Chinatown, and Tess. So 4 Academy Award nominations for Best Director, and he won once. Brilliant director, Rosemary's Baby, one of my absolute favorite horror movies of all time. You guys probably know if you watch me, I'm super into horror. His personal life wasn't so great. In 1977, he was accused and convicted of drugging and sexually assaulting a 13-year-old model, a girl, who he had done a photo shoot with. He ended up leaving the country. He's never been back in the USA. It was something where he agreed to a plea bargain that was only going to give him probation, but then he heard that the judge was secretly going to give him 50 years in prison. So he fled the USA and he's never been back. So sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl. What a scumbag. What a piece of crap. Horrible person to do that. Horrible. Movie director, though, he's brilliant. He's freaking brilliant. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, my God. The Cosby Show. I grew up watching The Cosby Show. I watched that in my teenage years. That was a huge show. It was on from 1984 to 1992. 5 seasons in a row. It was number 1. He had the number 1 show on television for 5 years running. When I was even much younger in the 70s, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids was a great Saturday morning cartoon. We all loved that frickin' show. He was a stand-up comedian with like platinum selling records. Movie acting, I wasn't such a fan of his, but the point is, Bill Cosby was a brilliant comedian. You can't deny that fact. He had that observational style of humor, tons of fans all around the world. But he was accused of how many? Jeez. Over 60 women accused him of rape, drug-facilitated sexual assault, sexual battery, and child sexual abuse. So horrible, horrible person. Piece of crap. Should be thrown in jail forever. But as a comedian, as someone who produced comedic works, he was amazing. And yeah, you want to go into musicians, R. Kelly, Marilyn Manson, Chris Brown, not very nice people in their private lives, the way they treated women, the things they did to women. Kanye West, brilliant musician. He's a whack job. He's a nut. He's crazy. He comes out with the most outlandish stuff. But, music, I like his music. I don't care for him as a human being, as a person. So what if Hulk was the real person? The person being racist was just a character. Yeah, I mean, I'm not standing up for racism. Believe me, guys, I'm not excusing that or forgiving it. I'm just saying when it comes to celebrities, whether it be an actor, a pro wrestler, a musician, a writer, a painter, some of these people, they're not nice people in their private lives. Maybe they're racist, maybe they're abusive people, maybe they're fraud. Who knows? They're sinners. They're big sinners. Like, we're all sinners. But I can separate that from the work. Like, you can love R. Kelly's music and think he's a piece of crap as a human being, a horrible person, and he deserves to rot in jail. That doesn't mean the music wasn't good. I don't understand why Joey couldn't just make that distinction in his. He didn't have to make an apology. Like, why? We're so quick to apologize now because we're terrified of the woke mob because they can cancel you for anything. And I know I did see that Joey use the word colored, which I can't believe. He's not even as old as me. Joey's probably in his mid-40s at this point, I'm guessing. I don't know. I know he's not as old as me. I mean, even when I was a kid growing up in the 70s, I was born in 1969. That word was already going out of vogue. I don't remember people using that word past like maybe the mid 70s. The N word, that's been around forever and ever. But like I used to hear the word colored when I was a real small kid, and then I don't remember hearing it anymore. So I'm surprised that even popped into his head. Let's see what else. Saying you're still playing your R. Kelly CDs. Well, I was never a fan of R. Kelly, but like Marilyn Manson, I love Marilyn Manson music. I could rattle off training, cardio. His music gets me pumped. The Beautiful People, Disposable Teens, Mob Scene, anyway, Marilyn Manson. I love his music. I've seen him in concert. I've heard and I believe that he's a horrible person, the way he treats women, abusive, assaults, things like that. But that doesn't make his music any worse to me. I don't care. Great example. I cannot handle that many women. Well, a few of us can. Reminds me of that sketch with Dave Chappelle where he talks about Michael Jackson in his defense. He wrote Thriller, yeah. I don't know what Michael Jackson did or didn't do. He was never convicted of anything. Never. He was accused of being very inappropriate with young boys. I think it was always boys, right? But, Michael Jackson was he was a musical genius. The stuff he would write, his singing, those albums. I mean, I think Thriller is still one of the top selling albums of all time to this day. He changed music. He was an innovator, a pioneer, brilliant musician. His personal life, he's messed up. He was not a well person, whatever that's from, whether it's the fact that his dad was very abusive and, he never got to have a childhood. His dad worked the hell out of him as a musician with the Jackson 5, with the family group, from the time he was like 4 or 5 years old. But still, his music is great. Something like that. I prefer colored. Is how we are colored. Yeah, everyone's colored. I mean, this is a color, right? When we say in shape, a lot of obese guys. You could say fat guys. You can't say fat girls. That's bad. It's still okay to call men fat or ugly. We can be fat or ugly. Women cannot. So that's a weird thing. Weird dichotomy there. Michael Jordan is the best athlete of all time. He's done a lot of donating, a lot of gambling and bad things. He's smart, not like social media. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard for anyone to have any privacy these days, not only because of social media, but even if you don't post, all your interactions with people, they're filming you, they're texting, they're posting about it. So celebrities now, I honestly think that celebrities in the old days were just as shady, if not more so. But we just rarely knew about it. We rarely found out about it because they had privacy. They had private lives. They didn't really have paparazzi way back in the old days. If something ever happened with a celebrity, like the Fatty Arbuckle was a rape scandal back in like the 1930s or something, 1940s. I don't know. It was a long time ago. That was huge news because it was so rare for the public to find out that one of these Hollywood movie stars was not this picture perfect person that we imagine them to be. Based on the persona that we saw on screen, we expect them to be morally upright and, heroic and this and that, but they're all just human beings. They're all flawed. Just because somebody plays a hero who does good things doesn't mean in their real private life that's not who they are. Michael Jordan. For anything, if Jordan was a Trump supporter, I bet people would burn his sneakers, say he's cancel culture. Well, Kanye is a huge Trump supporter, and I'm surprised more people don't hate his music because of that. Because obviously, this country, the USA, is very divided. Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives, and you have the Trump supporters and you have the Trump haters. And there's very few people that are in a gray area. You either love Trump or you hate him. Personally, I voted for the guy. I don't love Trump. I don't think he's a great person. I think Trump's actually a pretty bad person. But given the choices that we had as far as who to elect for president, I thought he would do a better job with the economy, in immigration, a lot of things. And yeah, he hasn't panned out to be the perfect president. I mean, we knew he wasn't going to be. But the point is, I knew in his personal private life, Trump he's a dirtbag. I mean, I'm sure this guy's got all kinds of dirt on him. We don't even know. Maybe never will know, but maybe these Epstein files come out, we'll find out. Mark says, I'm about to turn 60. That was a word my grandparents used. My mom used it. My mother was born in 1928. Okay. My parents were old. She was 41 when she had me. So, I mean, Just do the math. I remember as a kid, she used that word colored. I heard the N word around the house pretty frequently. Hispanics, I'm married to a Hispanic for 34 years, but we called them spics. Gay people were fags. Asians were chinks. Mentally handicapped people were retards. I mean, these are words. It's the 70s and well into the 80s that we use those words all the time with no real thought. Like, is that bad? Can we not? Because there was no cancel culture. It wasn't right. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that's the way things were, and I would never use those words. Like, even if no one could hear me, I'm not saying that I'm like the perfect. Believe me, I'm not. But I would never use the N. To me, the N word is an ugly, ugly word. It's not to say that I don't have racist thoughts from now and then. Usually it's terms of envy because physically they are Africans, people of African ancestry, especially West Africa. Physically they are superior. I mean, look at sports. But the N word really, really bothers me. On gear, sinner. Well, we're all sinners. I mean, we're all sinners. Whether you believe in sin or not. I mean, there's a moral relativism now in the world where unless you're physically hurting someone, a lot of people say anything other than that is okay. It's acceptable. You can't judge anyone unless they're physically hurting. Maybe they would even include something like robbing somebody or taking their life savings away, something like that harms somebody in a way. But if you're not hurting anybody, everything's fine. The Joey Swoll army had no problem swarming random gym goers when he told them to do better. But now the mob's at his door and he ran away. Yeah, he ran away for 4 days. I mean, yeah, it was only 4 days. I mean, and I said 5 days. I was joking about it in a few different comments on posts. People said he's off social media. I said he'll be back in 5 days. I mean, this is his whole social media is how he makes his money. He's a very wealthy guy now, and he's built a huge following. It's 5.4 million followers. That is huge. It's not Bumstead level, but it's pretty freaking decent for a guy who's got 31,000 followers. Dude, 5.4 million. He needs those to market his that sauce stuff that he sells and his coaching services. So I knew he wouldn't. We can recognize the talent left behind, but I think being remembered in positive light and having tributes comes a loss. It's hard to separate a character when it's a real life person. Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate because, like I said, in the old days, because we didn't have really paparazzi and we didn't have information didn't get disseminated the way it does now. Like right now, if some major celebrity out in public said something or did something inappropriate or racist or offensive to the LGBTQ community, anything would be recorded. It would be posted about immediately. And the whole world would know within like an hour that this person, and there would be a backlash and a cancellation and everything. But for many years, I'm sure there were a lot of celebrities that did all kinds of dirt and they were all kinds of bad people. And the public never knew about it. Again, I'm not saying that was right. I'm just saying we're more aware of it now. It doesn't mean that this hasn't always been the case, that people were secretly homophobes or racists or adulterers or whatever bad thing you want to talk about. Donald Trump, my favorite president. Where would you draw the line? Some people want to cancel, boycott people for all kinds of things, including how they vote. I am not a fan of cancel culture. Cancel culture. Say that 5 times fast. I think it's pretty. You probably figured that about me. I'm not someone who thinks one remark, one slight. Especially people say things in the heat of the moment that they don't mean. Small, almost an unrelated example, but I've seen competitors right after a contest that they lost, that they felt they should have won. I've seen them make posts cussing out the judges, disparaging the competitors that beat them, saying this guy sucked or this girl sucked, they shouldn't beat me. And they regret it immediately. And even if they delete the posts, people can screenshot that stuff, record off the screen if it's a video, everything, everything you put online, it's forever. Unless you deleted it like immediately, there's a very strong chance, especially if you're somebody with a big following or any kind of public figure, you can be almost sure somebody screenshotted that immediately. Like, oh shit, look what so-and-so said. Look what they posted. And even if you take it down, like we've seen this before where people put stuff on what used to be Twitter, it's called X now. They'll make a tweet and they'll take it down immediately, but tons of people screenshot it right away and they reposted it. And, stuff like that doesn't go away. Ron is on. Yes, I am. How's that shoulder doing? It's doing great. Yeah. I'm actually getting a lot of backlash about this. Hey, Dale. Dale from Wales. So the Harrises, which I'm a Harris, supposedly we're from Wales. Not England, not Scotland, not Ireland. I've been told Harris is a Welsh name. I don't know. But that's what we were always told as kids. We're Welsh. But at least the Harris part. My grandmother was a Davenport. I don't know where. That sounds pretty fancy. I don't know where that was from. Anyway, yeah, people are saying, how can you take steroids again? And I said, I'm not going to take them now. I would take them in the last probably 10 or 12 weeks before a show that I'm talking about doing in 2030, 5 years from now. I don't plan on doing any steroid cycles between now and then. I would do it just to try to get my pro card, just enough to be full. Wouldn't be going crazy. I wouldn't be doing 2 or 3 grams, which I know to some of you that's like nothing. 3 grams, like 1 gram. 1 gram, I know that's plenty to keep me full and hard as I diet down into great condition. It's enough to keep the muscle. I'm not looking to build a ton more muscle. I mean, I think that ship has passed. Any muscle mass I was going to gain would have happened a long time ago because I started training in 1983. All right, let's get back to the subject. The kryptonite people need to find to not give a shit what people think and take responsibility for what you say. Just don't care. Yeah, you should be careful about what you say. You should be careful because, like I said, I'm not someone who wants to walk on eggshells, but I know there are things that they're not appropriate to say. Like, I'm never going to say anything negative about a race of people or a sexual preference or anything like that, because it's just not cool. As old as I am and as much as I grew up in a totally different country and different culture from what we live in now, I recognize that this is 2025 and we have to be more sensitive to people's feelings and their identity. I'm not into the whole pronoun thing. I don't think somebody should be canceled for using the wrong pronoun unless they're intentionally doing it to anger the person or disrespect them. But it's a lot to remember, guys. For older people, I mean, geez, did he apologize? Yes, he did. Let's see, for the record, I've had this gun since 2013. Yeah, I mean, wow, so long before he was president. I mean, he's been a celebrity since like the early 80s, I want to say. He was in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Donald Trump, true story. Change is good, ask a baby in a diaper. Ron's envious of Serge Nubret. I mean, to be totally transparent and honest, I'm envious of anybody with great genetics, and there just happen to be more people with great bodybuilding genetics of African ancestry. There are plenty of white guys I've been jealous of the genetics too. I mean, I wish I had their genetics. I guess envious is the right word. Jealous and envious are not the same thing. If you look up in the dictionary, the meanings are slightly different. Envy is when you wish you had something someone else had. It's like coveting, I guess, which is one of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's ass, which in those days they were talking about donkey, not like an actual ass. Where jealousy is, I don't know the real. Now you maybe want to look. What's AI got to say? Because they are very different things. Definition of jealousy. Okay, so jealousy is the state of feeling or being jealous. So it's pretty stupid. It's not a very good definition. Resentment against a rival, a person enjoying success or advantage, or against another success or advantage itself. Mental uneasiness from suspicion or fear of rivalry, unfaithfulness, as in love or aims, vigilance in maintaining or guarding something. Okay, that's fair. We're talking about Jew. Yeah, I'm not I'm not going to talk about Israel or Palestine. That's another thing everyone's divided on. Although, I don't even want to get into where I stand on it because it's got nothing to do with anything but Jews. Yeah, but I don't like to see anti-Semitism. I really don't. I mean, you shouldn't be. I don't think any group of people should be grouped together as being bad or hating a whole group of people, because there are good and bad in every group, every ethnic group, every country. Like saying everybody from Belgium is an a-hole. Come on. I'm sure there's some wonderful people in Belgium. I'm sure there's some a-holes, some jerks in Belgium. It's like anywhere else. Brazil is fucked. Well, a lot of countries. I mean, USA is not doing too great either, baby. We're not doing too great either. Probably calculate how much money he lost per day. I mean, Joey does very well. I mean, I've seen he's got like, the supercars. He's been doing well for a very long time. I mean, I remember when he was with that Shreds company, they were paying him, I think, like a 7-figure salary or something. So yeah, I mean, Joey couldn't stay off social media. It's like throwing away your income. He wasn't about to do that. Do you have a coupon code for Blackstone? I do not yet. Let me get one. I'm going to actually ask Trevor. Trevor's my man over there. He's a social media director. And we had talked about that, and we didn't follow through. That's my bad. Good. Okay, Blackstone coupon. Please make a note of it. Yeah, I'm going to get one. So in my next live, I'll have that in the ticker down there. Just a bikini show. The world's on fire. This is not. Yeah. Well, we're talking about the Joey Swoll Hulk Hogan thing. At least we still make fun of bodybuilders. You know what's funny? I just came from a physical therapy appointment like an hour and a half ago. And as I was waiting in the lobby, it's a fitness center, and it's got a physical therapy clinic attached inside of it. So anyway, at the front desk, one of the members, an older guy, was talking to the young man at the front desk, who looked like he was a fairly serious trainer, taller guy. But anyway, he was telling him that he had known all these bodybuilders, and they couldn't run. The muscle wasn't functional. He asked them to run like one block, and they couldn't do it. Stupid things like that. It was like all their muscle is fake. It's just for show. And I was going to get called in for my session in like a minute or two, so I wasn't about to jump in and say, excuse me. I couldn't help it overhearing and, start arguing with the guy. But yeah, obviously the muscles bodybuilders have is not functional, I should say. They build a body for a certain look. It's not to be strong. Yeah, he was saying, and they're not as strong as they look either. Well, they're not training for strength. They're not training to be a power lifter or an Olympic lifter. Those people train specifically for strength. Bodybuilders train specifically for muscle size. They're trying to get bigger muscles, not so that they can lift more weights, not so that they can fight. That's another thing I've heard is bodybuilders can't fight. That's like saying golfers can't play tennis. Who can't? What does one have to do with the other? It really just comes from their insecurity. They see this big muscular guy, and they feel insecure. They feel threatened. So they want to knock the bodybuilders down by saying shit like, their balls and their dick shrink, which the penis doesn't shrink. The balls do shrink with steroids. Your penis doesn't shrink, guys. I think it does shrink a little as you age anyway, but not from steroids. It's just natural part of the aging process. Anyway, too much information for you younger people. Just don't worry about it. You're good for now. But the point is, bodybuilders, they train for one specific reason. It's just a visual physique enhancement. They want to have bigger, better looking muscles to get up on stage and flex and pose with. And if you want to make fun of that it's stupid, it's a pageant, it's like a beauty pageant for juice heads or whatever, go ahead, that's fine. But to say that their muscles aren't functional, so what? Who cares? What's that? Whoever said they were? I don't know any. I know there are some bodies who are delusional and think they can fight just because they have big muscles, which no. Unless you're a trained fighter is going to kick your ass. Unless you're like 300 pounds and they're 100 pounds and you can just jump on them and smother them or something. In a stand-up fight, any trained fighter is going to take down most people that have no fight training, haven't been in a bunch of fights. But yeah, it's a silly argument that they make. Anyway, I think that's about it, guys. I mean, we have some more comments. I mean, that's just it. I just wanted to make a little video about the Joey Swoll situation because I think it's okay to be a fan of Hulk Hogan, the character, the wrestler, and still accept and understand and admit that maybe as a person, he wasn't a nice guy. He was a racist. He had racist thoughts, feelings, beliefs. Just like you can be a fan of a movie director who makes great movies, who might have been a horrible person, like Roman Polanski, raped a 14-year-old girl, 13-year-old girl, sorry. R. Kelly did some awful things, still made some great music. Michael Jackson may have done some awful things. Musical genius, brilliant. Bill Cosby did a lot of awful things, hurt, assaulted a ton of women over many, many decades. Awful, awful person, Bill Cosby. Brilliant comedian. Made some amazing TV shows, comedy records. You know, he was a legend in the world of comedy for many, many decades. And you can be a fan of Bill Cosby, the comedian, and you can be a fan of the Cosby Show while still recognizing that Bill Cosby, the person off screen, the man behind it all, was not a good person. He was not. He was vile. That's all I want to say. So tomorrow I do plan on doing a wrap-up after judging of the Tampa Pro. Big Mike Cox, my buddy, is down there with his beautiful wife, Mandy. They're watching the show today. Today they had Classic, 212, and a couple of the women's divisions. Tomorrow they're doing 3 more divisions, men's physique, bikini, figure, and open men's is going to be the last. So I'm expecting to go on around sometime between 1 and 2. I'm really not sure when they're going to wrap things up. And I do want to grab some footage from somewhere, but please join me tomorrow for that. Keep your notifications on. And that's it. Have an awesome night. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.